How is your health and how are you feeling?
Well, my health is good. If some of you might not know, but I was diagnosed with a kidney disease in November, which is the first time in my life where I was faced with something that I basically have never had to deal before. I was hopping from one plane to the other, just thinking golf, and all of a sudden you look at your wife and kids and you think, am I going to be here the next couple of days? So it was quite difficult for a couple of months. And so my health is a lot better because I'm in the chamber. I'm with 5 times a week. Sorry, haven't been looked after incredibly well the last couple of months. So for that, I'm very grateful.
Right, Nico, you're a resident in Dubai and you hold a Dubai Golden Visa, you and your family. Why did you choose to come and live in Dubai when obviously you had a few choices, and where were you before you came to Dubai?
Well, my wife and I lived in Monaco for 6 years. I come from Belgium. Monaco is French speaking. It was basically one of the easy options. And Rachel is from Australia, so she didn't particularly like living in an apartment, and Belgium was out of the question, having to wear turtlenecks and woolly hats for the majority of the year. So Dubai was pretty simple, a simple choice. Because of the quality of life, because of the practice facilities. I mean, golf is everywhere. It's within 20 minutes of wherever you live in Dubai. And I've been coming here for 20 years. I mean, I've been lucky enough to speak to some of the old boys in the corner over there telling me about, golf in the 80s and 90s here. But I came here for the first time in 2001, and I've seen the place change incredibly, as has been illustrated before. But we're quite happy to live here.
So how did you first find out about Aviv, Nico?
Well, the first time I heard or came across Aviv was the video that's playing on the screen. Aviv became the title sponsor of one of the events on the DP World Tour in 2021 last year, and was a bit curious, not knowing that a month and a half later I was going to be diagnosed with my disease. And the first meeting that I had with Aviv, I also found out that Professor Shai, who's behind the whole research, was a nephrologist. So it made sense to everyone that it was a good opportunity to get together and try to deal with my issue the best way possible.
So can you just explain a little further on your treatment you've experienced at the Aviv Clinics Dubai? It's careful when we open the doors and hit balls. I think most of the audience here is okay. I'm a bit worried that Nico, if he pulls a little left, you'll get very close to the clinic.
I miss Ryder usually, so we're good.
Are you still the Belgian bomber, or are you the former Belgian bomber?
Well, I mean, I'm closing in on 40 years old, so yeah, I'm still called the Belgian bomber, but as time goes by, I'm starting to hit the ball a little bit shorter.
Give us a few more details of what actually you've experienced at the Aviv Clinics.
I mean, apart from the hyperbaric chamber sessions that I do, I was unbelievably impressed with. I mean, I've dealt with physios and dietitians and psychologists for as long as I can remember, but walking through the door the first time, I had no idea that I was going to be completely screened the way that I have been to prepare myself for the treatment. So it was also an eye-opener for me for a few different things, also understand the way I function. And I think since then I've developed a huge amount of self-awareness. But also going in every morning, seeing lovely faces with smiles and understanding the people are there to really help you and put you back on your feet as quickly as possible.
So is the treatment over? You've gone through however many sessions, 5 days a week. Are you completely completed your Aviv Clinics treatment, or is it ongoing?
I'm about to finish now. I started the treatment mid-March. I had to go to Belgium because I had different commitments in the middle, but I'm closing in on, I think I have about 10 sessions to go. And right after, I think the day after I finish the treatment, I'm off in the plane and to my first tournament, which is probably your next question.
No,
sorry,
we'll go for
I blew it. I blew everything.
We've done this before, believe it or not. You didn't know that. Now, it's not scripted.
All right.
Let's go to the Olympics in Rio. Tell us a bit about the experience and perhaps your family connections.
Well, the Olympics, I mean, before, golf became my profession, I was really passionate about sport. It ran in the family. When I was really, really little, sport was basically the only activity. I mean, I don't play piano or guitar, it was like sport. Everything was based around sports. My great-grandfather represented Belgium at 2 different Olympics, early century, in 20 and 36. And so even golf wasn't really a golf in the list of the sport represented at the Olympics. I always looked at the Olympics a different way than most golfers. And when we went in 2016 in Rio, there was the part of me that was really proud to represent my country and represent the heritage of my great-grandfather. But there was also being part of the Olympics as a sports fan and see it from the inside, being in the Olympic Village, seeing the swimmers and the volleyball players and the weightlifters, and it was. I mean, just thinking of, just talking about it, I've got goosebumps. I mean, you see all different body shapes and sizes at the opening ceremony or the preparation of the opening ceremony. Next to us, there was 3 guys from Bhutan who were wearing 16th century costumes, going down to walk into the stadium at Maracana. So it was quite a very enriching experience from a sports fan point of view.
Let's go to one of what must be highlights of your career. Let's go to Ryder Cup 2012, Miracle at Medina, Jose Maria Olazabal, the captain. Tell us a little behind the scenes, and more importantly, Friday afternoon, you, Lee Westwood, he needn't have been there, against Tiger Woods and Steve Tricker. Tell us what happened there, Nico.
Well, it's pretty simple. I kind of kicked his ass. Which is, of course, something to be really proud of. So I was the only rookie in the team, so I was the only one that never been thrown into the arena like this, because the Ryder Cup is a different beast. Imagine you've never played Wembley and it's 80,000 and it's screaming. I mean, it's basically being thrown into a pretty hostile environment. Also being the first Belgian to represent Europe at the Ryder Cup was something also to be quite proud of. But so the first game is probably the most thrilling roller coaster that I've ever been on. And funny enough, I didn't really quite understand what I was doing, because I was totally in the zone and made 8 birdies and an eagle, which is to this day the best performance by a rookie, and single-handedly took down Tiger Woods and Steve Stricker, which was the only European point that afternoon, and I was celebrated like a god when I walked back into the team room that same night by guys that have played 5, 6, 7 Ryder Cups. So it was pretty cool. When you see guys that have played so many Ryder Cups look at you and go, "So did you have fun?" it was pretty cool.
And you won 1 up.
And we won 1 up. So I hold maybe like a 25-footer on 17 to stay 1 up, because Tiger Woods had just hit it to a meter. And then on 18, after Lee Westwood cowardly missed the green right, after I thought that he was going to take a bit of responsibility in the game, I lagged my putt next to the hole, and then he's standing there, and I go straight to Lee Westwood, and I tell him that, so knowing that Tiger has a putt to half the game, and so I said to Lee, I don't know if I have what it takes to watch this, having basically just played the game on my own. He looked at me and went, "Might as well watch it." And next thing you know, Tiger misses, and so I single-handedly taken the guys down and brought only 1 point for Europe that afternoon.
Any other memories about celebrations that you're allowed in this company to share on?
Well, it's funny because I went and did TV commentary at the Ryder Cup this last time in Whistling Straits last September, and I went for the first time back to Medina, and I found myself into the locker room where some incredible things happened after we won. I mean, I saw guys that I grew up idolizing, hugging each other and crying. Alice Abel, Lee Westwood, Ian Poulter. I also remember Poulter on the Sunday morning before the singles. I'm heading to the range, walking out of the locker room, and he's crossing me the other way to go to the first tee. He looks at me with eyes like this, and he tells me, "Let's fucking have them." So if you know Poulter, if you know the Ryder Cup, like he's exactly like he is on screen, the way that he is in the locker room, and you build amazing relationship with these guys because we do an individual sport, and for once it's 12 guys together. There's a huge backup staff, backroom staff that you feel like you're playing for the Real Madrid or Man U, if there's some Man U fans in here, most likely I'd say, unfortunately. But so yeah, it's. I played hockey, field hockey until I was 17. So team sport was always something that I could identify really easily, and having the chance to do this professionally and the best golf competition there is was quite a ride.
So coming up to date, you look fit, you're strong, thanks to Aviv. What are your plans on returning to the DP World Tour and competitive golf, Nico? What are your plans?
Well, I'm starting again in 2 weeks' time. I've played only 4 events this year. I was almost this close of taking a full medical exemption to start off next season, but after playing the event in Belgium about a month and a half ago, it was quite overwhelming to play again, and it had to be in Belgium, so it was adding to the overwhelming feeling about going back out. So I need to get back on the saddle as quickly as possible. So I'll play the rest of the remaining tournaments in the season. I would have usually have played 15 to 20 events by now. So there's not a lot of golf in me. There's definitely rust. My competitiveness is still there, but the level of golf has basically evolved in the last couple of years you have to be on top of your game to be able to pull it off. So it's my first couple of weeks are just basically to try to assess where I am and what I really need to focus on. But I'm happy to basically, go and do what I've been doing for the last 20 years.
Natural, what you've done in your life. But before Nico, not sure he knows this, hits a few balls and we open the door.
It's a bit second nature. It's okay.
You're looking nervous.
I'm not
Maybe
nervous.
I'm nervous.
I might be rusty, but I'm still not nervous.
Before Nico hits a few balls, any hands up for questions?
I too, funnily enough, or maybe not so much, found out in July last year that I had kidney disease. So I'm interested, now that you've found that out, how much of your, not necessarily day-to-day, but your planning of life revolves around thinking about that versus trying to stay in your lane, doing your
Find
golf?
out. I don't know about you, but it was quite a shock for me because I've always been quite healthy, and then you start to ask yourself questions that never came in your mind before. What was difficult at first was accepting that something was wrong. Having been quite successful my whole life, and having been basically forced to be benched was quite difficult. But throughout life, I guess that you need help from certain people, and there's no way I would have been able to deal with this the way I have without my wife and without the people that I've met the last couple of months. It's always, you always want to, not like you want to find solutions and you want to find a reason. You just have to basically just go through whatever you're facing and just take it head on, and this is the situation.
Just kind of a golf question.
Yeah.
Out of all the majors, which one would you most like to win and why?
A typical one, no judging, because I've always had, for us, back in the 80s and 90s, the Masters was almost out of reach because you already saw the back nine on TV, so we had this kind of really like mystique thing with Augusta. So I grew up really idolizing the Masters, but I grew up also watching golf on the BBC. you know, in Belgium there was no Sky, there was no French TV or Belgian TV that was covering everything. So I grew up listening to Peter Allis, Ken Brown, and all these guys, and so I hate to say this now, but I went and did TV commentary at the Open now. I'm a bit ashamed that I will say this now, but it's definitely the Open, because I mean, we saw last week, you know, being the 150th, and it only struck me that all these links courses that you play for the Open, you understand that people have been walking these fairways for 100 years, and stories have happened in this bunker, in this bunker, in this bunker, and it's the oldest championship, and you are celebrated wherever you take the I mean, don't get me wrong, a green jacket would be nice, but I think getting a bit drunk out of the claret jug on a Sunday night sounds pretty good, actually.
And what was your best finish in a major? Let me test you, Nico.
Oh no, I finished, I think, 6th or 7th at the Open one year.
Seventh.
Seventh. And I think.
And you played in all 4 majors?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I played the Masters in 2013, which is quite also an overwhelming experience. The first time you get to the Masters, first time you walk Augusta. I remember the first time I went, they were like, "Oh, do you want to play a practice now?" And I'm like, "Yeah. Can I start straight away on 10?" So we played the back 9 straight away, and after an hour being there, I was playing the 12th hole and 13th, and yeah, I mean, it's holy ground. The first time you go to St Andrews and the first time you go to Augusta is really 2 amazing moments where you feel like you've achieved something.
Thank you, Nico. Growing up, you just talked about watching the Open on the BBC. Who were your, 2-part question, who were your idols growing up? And since you've obviously set the way for golf in Belgium, how is the future of golf in Belgium looking, and the next generation of players coming through?
So growing up, I was that 8, 9, 10-year-old kid that was chasing autographs and bowls and just looking at these golf players like they were gods. Whatever that would be, Seve, Faldo, Woosnam, Lange. I mean, that was my generation that I looked up to. We're talking end of 80s. I always had a soft spot for Fred Couples when I was young. And funny enough, when I think we played here, and it was just after the Ryder Cup, or maybe just like 2012 or 13, I played a practice round with Fred Couples, and when we came, I think it was Friday, so I grew up idolizing the guy, and we played a practice round together, and Friday I come on 9, and it was the big grandstand, and my caddy Brian taps me on the shoulder and goes, and I turn around and there's Freddie Couples behind the window of the hospitality doing me like this. So it was pretty cool. They say don't meet your idols, but in some cases it's pretty cool. And the state of golf in Belgium, I mean, I was basically a flag barrier for from 2000 until 2014, when a couple other young Belgian guys came on the scene in Thomas Pieters and Thomas Detry. Funny fact, I mean, there's always a war between, you know, France and Holland, our 2 neighbors, and France only has 1 more Ryder Cup than we do, and Holland has 0 to our 2. So we're quite happy to all that against our neighbors. But listen, I was never asked to help, which still to this day I found quite incredible, that the Belgian Federation has never really come up to me and say, hey, can we hear what you think about this or that for juniors and stuff, because I will be the first one to give back, because it got me places that I would have never thought that I would end up in one day. Yeah.
Thank you, Nico. I think we'd all like a round of applause for Aviv Ambassador Nico Colsaerts.